And it's both myself and Xiaoyu Yang who went to the same sandpit as I. So we're sort of doing this as a duo, a combo here, really. And I'm going to go through it, and then Xiaoyu's going to add bits as he goes through. And we have a very, very different experience of it. And so people might want to explore why it is that we found it so very different, really. Okay, can you put the next one on? So, we both got the money, great. I ended up with nearly 200,000 for a 3-year, 4-day-a-week postdoc, and Xiaoyu ended up with a 1.5-year postdoc. So we're very pleased that we got the money, and Xiaoyu found it completely fine, but I found it terribly, terribly stressful. And so I still can't 100% say, oh God, I'm really pleased I did it, because I really did find it a very stressful experience. But I do think that was because this is the first one I applied for, and I was completely unprepared for it. I had no idea actually what was going to happen. And so the reason why we decided that we would do this today is to sort of try and at least have something so that anybody who does apply for these things knows how they should be and what's going to happen. Okay, next one. So basically, what is a sandpit? Well, they all differ. But ours was a week long, 5 days. There were 24 participants. It was to do with water, energy, food, and I only know about energy. It was all ages and stages of careers. The people got chosen, more or less equal men to women, and the individuals were chosen both for their interests, but also because of their attitudes. So their attitudes to working together, to how much they like being interdisciplinary, the fact that they wouldn't be hierarchical, that kind of thing. And at the same time as the 24 of us, there were also about a dozen mentors, advisors who were there all the time as well. And they were the people that actually chose the project. The first 2 days, the Monday and Tuesday, were just about team building and ideas building. And the next 2 days were about detailed proposal building. And then the Friday was about pitching the ideas, and you got the result on that day. And there was about £5 million to be given out, and 3 got chosen, using up about £4.5 million. So the application was interesting, really. I'd say it took me a day to do the application. About 350 applied, and we ended up with 24 places. 350 went down to 36 by external people, so like sort of consultants, who were looking for sort of psychological kind of differences. And then 36 went down to 24, which was chosen by those advisors who then attended the week. So they made the final cut. And so it isn't just on career merit. So, had that been the case, then you would have just ended up with all of these more kind of senior people, and it would probably been very boring and no new ideas at all. But it was absolutely, completely across the board, and that was because of them trying to find people who were prepared to be flexible and all the rest of it. So I would say to anybody, just apply. Don't take it personally if you don't get chosen. Just apply and just be yourself, and you might just be exactly what they want. And some universities have sort of taken the decision that they wanted to have loads of people apply in this kind of quite form. So they had people actually, so 2 people actually in our group, in my one that I got, their universities had asked everybody who could possibly apply to apply. And then they put those people who then turned up felt under huge pressure to do well. And so I think that's a terrible idea. And Exeter didn't do that at all. As far as I'm concerned, Exeter didn't know particularly, about it. So that's good. And once there, it's about 50% of the people ended up with a project. Okay, so you just next one. So I think the one thing both of us have kind of got different points that we wanted to say, and I think the thing is to think big. Actually, if it suits your career timing, we both of us definitely didn't think big enough. I just wanted to get a postdoc out of it for a particular person who needed to have another contract. So I went in there with a very particular aim, and that's what I got. But we both think that we should have thought bigger and thought, well, maybe we should be thinking about a project which is like £1 million or something and be the PI on it. And neither of us went along with that approach because I didn't really realise that there was any chance of that. Because of the way it all works, if your idea, the thing that you want to do for that £1 million, if that doesn't get supported, well, then you won't get it. But if you don't go along without the ideas, then there's no way that you'll end up knowing about it. So definitely don't just kind of keep it small. Really, feel free to think big. And the people who got it, there were 2 professors got it. But in my project, a senior lecturer got it. And she's just like a first-year senior lecturer, I think. So it absolutely, again, is not necessarily on seniority. Okay, next one. So what do the RCs want? Well, the research councils are essentially trying to bring together a bunch of interdisciplinary people who have their own ideas about the thing that they know about. And then they're trying to cause them to come together and then create something which is very new and unconventional and risky. And, Xiaoyu and I have talked about this, and, from a social science point of view, that actually doesn't really make much difference to us because the whole point about social science is that you have a new idea, and a new idea by its nature is risky, but the thing about social science is that you're actually always trying to find that new idea, think up that new thing. Whereas actually in engineering or science, before you can apply for the next lot, you've got something to build on from the last lot. So this is actually, in their terms, that kind of risky thing. They're allowing you to pitch for ideas that don't have that background behind it, but which is just a kind of a good new idea. And so that, I think, is really what they're out for. And so they just want people who are flexible. People turn up with their ideas, but they're prepared to change over the week as they start to get to understand more about these other areas, that they'll change and be flexible, be open-minded to new ways of doing things, new ways of thinking about things to end up with this new project. And so that's why that original sort of psychological thing at the beginning of your application, it's very important that you probably both are flexible and open-minded, but absolutely that is what they're looking for. And the whole way of this whole week, it's structured so that you put your ideas out there amongst these 24 people. People turn them down, they get thrown out, and then they come back and you have new ideas. They get changed into different directions and all the rest of it. It's all about trying to get ideas, building them up, changing them, whatever. And if like me, you don't like the idea of somebody putting your idea into the pot and then somebody going, that's a load of crap, as happened to me on the first morning, it's a deeply kind of worrying experience. But actually, if you take it much more easily and you just keep on putting ideas in, then, it'll be fine. So, ideas are pitched, they're turned down, they're changed, they're developed. This is the point of the sandpit, and you shouldn't get too stressed about it. Just because you put something in on the Monday, it got thrown out, doesn't mean to say that it won't happen again on the Wednesday. It really is about flexibility of approach and understanding this combination of what Sandpit is about, rather than just thinking about everything in your own little way, from your own discipline, to starting to try and think, well, how does this fit in with all these other ideas and people that are around there? And I should say you must expect, during this whole process of ideas going into the pot and being thrown out or changing direction, you've got to expect some people are not friendly and that they do game. And I wasn't expecting that. And so I've definitely felt that people were putting down ideas of people when if they were in competition with what they perceived to be their ideas. And that's just a kind of a weird thing, really. And I wasn't expecting that, and I found that very upsetting. Xiaoyu, though, just went with the flow, and so was much more able to deal with this. Okay, so the days. Well, how are the days then? So the pressure basically built up over the days. I'm quite an anxious person, and I really wanted a project, and so I found the whole thing really, really, really stressful. But Xiaoyu didn't, and he's going to talk about that in a moment. It has to be said, the split between those who found it stressful and those that didn't was really a real gender split. So the women all found it deeply, deeply stressful, and a lot of the guys found it stressful as well, but the ones that enjoyed it were all men. And I do think that, kind of not being too worried about it, treating it, kind of going with the flow is absolutely the way to deal with it, really. And then, so these 5 days were structured so that you had 2 days of ideas and kind of team building, and things are thrown in, thrown out. And then on the Wednesday, things really started to get more serious, so that if you had an idea and it got thrown out, it absolutely got thrown out. And all of these kind of loose workings of ideas, and you would join in with one group and decide you didn't want to do it, and then go to another group, and so on. Every half day, the advisors would listen to the ideas and then say they did or didn't like something. So ideas were really beginning to kind of be thrown out, and so if your idea was thrown out, then you would have to start to then attach yourself to another group, and then. So you're having to be adaptable about all of that and not get upset by the fact that your great idea has just been chucked out. And by the Thursday evening, there was a pitch. There was a pitch at about 5 o'clock on Thursday evening, and that's when the final 7 projects to go forward came through, and then the actual 2-page application, which at that point had not been written at all, had to be in by 10 o'clock. So it kind of pressure builds up over the week until you finally do it. So what should your strategy be in all of this? Well, a lot of people really only went in the end on one project pitch. One particular group only were in that one group and one project pitch, and they didn't get it, and so they got nothing. So it's probably best that you try and get in on at least 2 projects. And in order to do this, obviously, you need to have ideas. You've got to be nice and friendly towards people. You've preferably got to be the sort of person who is flexible and goes with the flow. If I did it again, I would definitely go with a kind of a big project of about £1 million that I thought this would make up this is a good idea, and sort of understand what the different parts of that would be. Bearing in mind it has to be interdisciplinary. You've got to be flexible, as other people would view it from a different discipline and say, oh, well, yeah, but maybe you should do it in this way. But even so, you have to be prepared that the advisors just throw it out and other people don't want to do it. So, you might go along with a big idea and you may just go nowhere with it. But the thing is, if you don't go along with a big idea, then you absolutely won't get a big project. You'll only get whatever you've gone for. Okay, so Xiaoyu?
Yeah, so I'm just going to give you a very kind of brief idea of my own experience as a sort of junior academic in all of this. So I'm currently a lecturer, and I when I applied for this, I didn't expect me to be selected, because I know there's quite a few people, even within Exeter, even within ESI, were applying for this, and I was just, as Catherine said, and I just applied, whatever, and then I got it, and perhaps I should say I didn't come to the event as well prepared as I would hope, because I originally kind of dedicated or planned a whole week to prepare for this, actually just 1 week before the event, but in the end there's some other stuff that I need to do. So in the end I was not really well prepared, but I thought, whatever, let's just go and see what happens. But that said, I would suggest that you kind of prepare for this earlier rather than later, because it will definitely help during the days. Because I can remember at some days that when I talk to people, certainly some people are talking about literature in these areas that I don't know about. Apparently, most other people know, and in that case, I have to go back to my room during the night, of course, to do a little bit of research, and that eats up your sleep time, which is very important, and Catherine will talk about that. And so I sort of went with the flow, because I didn't come to the event with a sort of big idea. So I was trying to see what my kind of skills and what my sort of area can fit into other people's projects, basically. I ended up on 3 projects. Actually, because there was a limit on, you can't do more than 3. EPSRC has a limit on this. If it weren't for that limit, I would probably be on 4 or 5, because there are other groups want me to be on. So you got to have a strategy of, what projects you choose to be on. Actually, I'm just going to say I was originally on Catherine's project, and I didn't feel very comfortable at the beginning, because as Catherine said, their PI is a senior lecturer, and at the beginning I was not really sure what they're trying to do, and so during the first kind of loosely looking, looking around of other projects, I kind of gradually sort of went out of that group. Actually, I probably should not, but so there's one sort of one phrase the advisors always said is uncomfortable is good, basically, because in my case I felt uncomfortable in that group, because I didn't know, I don't know these people, and I don't know what they're trying to do, but actually it's this kind of projects that they are looking for, basically. The risky ones, the ones that you don't know the outcome, etc., etc. And the ones that I've got in the end, that I felt very comfortable with, I know exactly what we're trying to do. Then the mentors in the end tell us, where's the risk in it? I can't see the risk, because it is a good project, it is a good idea, but we're not looking for this type of project. So basically, you need to know what the research councils are looking for. In this case, they're looking for big, unconventional, and risky projects. And also, I would say, because I happen to know quite a few people in this 24 people, in this group of 24 people, and one of the reasons that I moved out of this stepping up this successful project was also that I was trying to get on to another project which I know the PI and actually another person in that group. The one that Catherine mentioned, they didn't get anything. All 5 people in that group only were only involved in that one project and they didn't get it, so they don't get anything. I was trying to get into that, but later I felt that this was not what I was looking for, and in fact they don't want me as well. So I'm quite happy with that choice. But otherwise, I will probably lose my winning project. And another thing I should say, the winning project I ended up with was actually the one that I felt least comfortable with. So hence, again, uncomfortable is good. And we also think that, both Catherine and I think that you should be confident once you're chosen in this process. You should be confident about yourself, about your skill sets, about your sort of experience, etc. to link with anyone in a group, because obviously you're being chosen from a very large sort of pot of people. And you shouldn't feel that you're not good enough to lead or to mingle with other people.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much my sort of experience. And also, of course, I didn't feel too stressful. Obviously, it is stressful, but not uncomfortably stressful.
Which is good, because that's different from here. So you can see that Xiaoyu and I have very different experiences, and this whole kind of thing about they want to have risk and therefore, not being entirely comfortable is good, and I think that's a really, really big point. But the other thing is it might just be because I'm getting old, but sleep is really a big thing, and I found it really, really exhausting. So you're kind of up at about 8 o'clock, and there's just completely structured throughout the entire day until like sort of 10 o'clock at night. And then if you do go to your room and then you have to do other stuff as well, then you're starting all over, and you have to sleep. And as I say, I'm quite anxious, so I don't sleep very well. And so I found it very, very sort of worrying. So you do definitely have to pace yourself throughout all of this. And that, I think, is a kind of a key thing. Okay, so that's us done. And so I'm not sure if you're opening... Yeah.